Hi there. Today we begin an amazing 13-day process of spirit. It's Friday, the 6th of November 2020, and we are beginning the white wind wave spell of 13 days. This is a really key 13-day process for me, as it's one of my castles as a blue hand. So it's one of my 13-year cycles that began when I was 31 in 1996. So that was the first year of motherhood for me. My son was born in March of 1995. And lots of things happened in that time. So I'm revisiting that now because I'm in a year 12 of a 13-year cycle of Blue Hand, shaping my destiny through healing and taking action. So I'm revisiting White Wind back then. Every time this 13-day process comes round, so that I can get clear. That's what the crystal year and crystal day is about. Get clear of my ancestral wounding pattern in order to create a new way of being as a human being on planet Earth. So today I'm beginning with a video which will be quite long, and explaining a process and sharing an ebook. And each day in this 13-day process, I'm going to do a mini video, which I haven't done for a while, to explain the energy, because there's a lot going on. Surprise, surprise. So just to show you the calendar, so I'm just going to move this around so you can see where we are. So we're up at the top. Can you see the blue tack? There we are. We're up here. And as you can see, maybe I'll take it off, it's a black square, which means it's a portal day of human evolution. So it's initiating something really, really magical. The planet is Uranus. We've got Uranus in Taurus at the moment. What's coming to light about what we value, what we love, and embodiments. So we may think that we are a certain human being, but we're having an experience now which is actually showing us who we really are. Sorry about the wobbles. That's my table. Okay, so let's start with the moon. So we've got Sun in Scorpio right now, and so we're in the 8th natural zodiac house of integration. Very powerful time, death and rebirth. We've had Halloween, and we've had Bonfire Night in the UK last night. So we're working through a key timetable, which I'm going to share with you as well, of what's happening on each day. But to begin with, let's go to the moon right at this moment. So it's 4 o'clock, and I've had a bit of a torrid time today, going through practical stuff and emails and initiating things. So more of that later. So the moon at the moment in the UK, and if you want to learn how to do this for yourself, you can click on lunarium.co.uk and it will give you a calculator. So you can put in the date, the time and the time zone, and it will give you the moon degree. So you can do that for your birth date as well if you want to know what your moon was, or anybody else for that matter. So we've got Cancer at 21 degrees right now, and we're in a waning moon because we had the full moon last Friday, a week today. So this is a website called aquaorfire.net. High up on a mountain, an eagle's nest. Heritage and birthright, the soul's inheritance. Being granted a belongingness and attunement to rarefied worlds. Consciousness triumphant. Maintaining the crown vista of universal essentials. You are imbued with natural wonders and treasures. Wakeful, vigilant, and clear. You have superlative faculties of sifting through and finding what we all need to see here. Remarkably untouched by personal limitations and distortions. Called upon to uphold the truth and knowing it. Serene, focused, and unsentimental. Diving right to the place where the goods are. Impeccable skills used under constraint. The finest accompanies each breath. The mark of previous karmic attainments of the highest kind. Resuming where you left off, steady, self-assured, and righteous in the best sense, beyond reproach. Love that. We've also got today the Four of Cups, which ties in with this energy very much. And so just going to read you from Eli Tarot, and I'll put all these links under my video. Luxury. So the structure of emotion, really, in a sense, with the cups. So you can see with the card that I get this card a lot. And so if you just look at the imagery around that, anything that's a number 4, in the Mayan, it's self-existing, and I'm going to come back to that because that's a really, really key day that's coming up. It's a burner day that we're going to be focusing on. So in the Mayan, self-existing is a structure of being free from codependency, which is the key shift that we're making now on planet Earth, which is why it's so turbulent. The sea is turbulent. So again, we can see that in this card is it's not quite stable. And so it's ready to move on to something else, which of course everything does. Nothing stays exactly the same. Everything is constantly moving and going forward. So in terms of Cancer, this is where the moon is in its own element, in its own mastery, governing body, if you like, and in astrology. So if you have moon in Cancer, this is really key for you. And so I'm just scrolling down. There's a lot of information here that you can read if you want. So this is the moon in Cancer. So again, you can see the synchronicities of these cards really, really blowing me away using the Thoth cards, and I highly recommend them because they have so much depth to them and they're very, very powerful. So pleasure flowing from an unconscious source is one of the key things about this. So it's coming from deep spiritual connection, the person who has mastered their emotional self, who knows that emotions come and go, and the more that you work on your emotions, the more that you create emotional intelligence for yourself and understand how you do emotion, basically. And it is unique, even though we've got some shared things going on. Each person has a framework for doing emotions because of our patterns and our systems and the family dynamic that we came in. The persona that we came to play in this game of life at this time, and our reasons for being here as a spiritual being. So the more that we heal our emotional history, this is the key. The more that we take action to let go of behaviours, of ways of being as a human being that no longer serve us, really because they're not healthy. You know, we've put all of these ways of being in place over many, many years, as thousands of years, as coping mechanisms. So it can be difficult to extricate ourselves from them because they've been put forward a lot of the time as truth. They've been put forward a lot of the time as you are a wiser person for doing these activities. You are, you know, you're trendy, you're in vogue, it's what people do, isn't it? So, and I've done lots of these. So for example, smoking, you know, that used to be held up as healthy. Lots of doctors did it. And drinking alcohol. So, you know, we can take the edge off. We can self-medicate ourselves, even though we don't realise we're self-medicating. We call it fun to poison ourselves with alcohol. And believe me, it is a poison. Do your research on this. As somebody who wants to hold more light, who wants to become wise, who wants to follow a path of truth and health and well-being and love, all of these poisons and toxicities have to go out of our life. So if we focus on the end in mind, which is we don't do any mind altering, we don't do any shifting of our biology, as in blood sugar, as in taking parental control off so that we relax more, then and just be who we actually are all the time, the more that we learn that actually that's okay, who we are, that we have emotional reactions and thoughts for a reason, and we start to really work with ourselves and discover ourselves. And that is the inner work. That's the key. It's not an intellectual thing on its own. It's about a very complex process for the human being who is discovering who they really are, becoming aware of any indoctrination, any manipulation, any conditioned behaviour that we've learned over the years, that we've learned from our parents, from our peer group, that has allowed us to sabotage ourselves, is a good word, I guess. And it's all part of the process. It's all part of a process that we go through. Do we really need to take the edge off? And if we do, then surely there's something that needs to be addressed in our lives. So again, this is really, really key to the medical model that we have operating in the West, that doesn't focus holistically, doesn't focus on getting to the root of the matter, doesn't focus on taking action holistically, mind, body and spirit, to address why we are ill, but simply pops a pill or addresses the symptoms and how to further squash the symptoms. And so, of course, the symptoms have to get bigger and louder to get our attention. Of course, this is not well known in mainstream Western culture, and many people may think, you know, that this view is totally mad, which at one time, so did I. So, but I've learned over time to open my mind. When I got my first Louise Hay book from a friend, I thought, what on earth is this about? It was a different language to me. It was alien to me. But when I actually looked at what was going on in my body at that time, then I realized, wow, okay, I really need to have a look at this, because this actually makes sense. I've got these things going on, and all of this emotional stuff that it's talking about, all of this blockage in my body, this is absolutely true. For me, this is true. So I couldn't ignore it. So when the time is right, we always come to that point of understanding. And so we're having a huge wake up on planet Earth right now around this. In the Mayan Oracle today, I have Manik, blue hand, which is my Mayan sign, blue solar hand, which is all about shaping our destiny through using healing frameworks. And so back to my 13-year cycles, as I became a mother at 31 and went through all the dynamic of vaccinations, and I happened to work for a professor of immunology at the time, which I find, you know, again, the magic's always there. You meet the right people at the right time. We have free will. Will we listen? Will we open up to a new paradigm and something new, or will we keep stuck in the same old ancestral program? Often we get challenged at these points, and so I was very challenged during the whole birthing process, and twice, and it didn't turn out how I'd planned or how I wanted, and things were going on for me in my body, and the medical model couldn't address them. So I met different people then also who were into different experiences, different ways of being, and I started to really look at that. So it was like a huge spiritual awakening for me. Massive things going on in my life around relationship, and again, this has been key for my whole journey. So I didn't know anything about emotional freedom technique then. I started studying psychology, and today I have initiated something that I've wanted to do back then but really couldn't put all the time and energy into, which is I'm going to do a degree in forensic psychology online with the Open University. So that's what I've initiated today, and who knows where it will take me. In the past, I resisted doing it because it was so dark, but now I know that's my gift. That's what I work with. I work with a shadow. I'm a shadow worker. Chances are, if you're watching this, you are too. And the shadow can seem like a very scary thing initially, and still huge taboos around mental health and fear, huge fear coming up for people whenever you talk about it, because people today still, things haven't moved on a huge amount. They're still using very old barbaric ways of dealing with mental illness, and we've all got it. That's the thing, we've all got mental health issues, especially now over what's happened over the past year. And so again, this is no accident, this is coming to light. So the more we get to know about our personal shadow story in ourselves, and we learn tools to assist us in healing them, and we create a power team, we get to know people. I'm very lucky where I live in Glastonbury, people are very open-minded, and that's key to why I moved here. And also the people in my personal circle are very open-minded and always learning, always looking for new things, always looking to be healthy and heal. And, you know, hey, we may not always manage it all the time. Sometimes we get really sick until we pay attention. And because with all of this, we are all veiled. This is essential to doing the process. But the more we unveil ourselves, and the faster we tend to get unstuck. Okay, so that's my tip. So, goddess card today, we've got Astarte, ascension. As you descended to earth as a blazing star, allow me to ascend to the heaven you left, strengthened by your power and your wisdom. So again, for me, the more that I understand astrology, and the more that I understand the Mayan calendar, the dream spell, the more I trust that there is a process going on, and the more I work on my trust issues, the more that I trust that there is a consciousness that I'm a part of that I can't fully access yet, because I'm in a human being story that I have chosen to take part in. And so as I do my inner work, as I heal, I access more of that consciousness. And it's a wondrous, wondrous, magical thing. So that's the Brucey bonus, okay, for all you UK speakers. You'll be familiar with that term. That's what happens as a natural byproduct of healing and learning about our ancestral story. And that's the key to set us free, because there's no avoiding this stuff. If you think about it, it's a holograph, it's a pattern, it's a computer program, call it what you want. We come here to take it to the next level. We've come here to evolve this grand design of human beings. And now it's such a powerful time where everything is coming together, where we have the technology, we have the healing modalities, we have everything reaching the maximum thrust, if you like, of the patriarchy, so we can see exactly the sickness. There's no denying it anymore. It's out there in front of us, in plain sight, and it's shaking everybody up. So I'm going to bring up a document now that I've made many years ago, and bear with me and my Zoom skills. Isn't everybody amazing on Zoom now? Everybody's getting there with this. Okay, let's look. There we go. So I will put a link on this video to my Droppler account so you can download this. And so I've slightly refined it. So today we begin with white wind. So the whole 260-day spiral works on 13-day processes. And if you want, you can use this each day. So there we go. This Wavespell begins on the 6th of November. And there's loads of things to click on as well. So again, white wind is Ik, is the name. Code number 2, the new learning on the planet, is we are a spiritual being in a human body, and we're here to combine both in a marriage, so that the more disciplined that we become and we stop hurting ourselves and we stop doing behaviours to cope with narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths, and all of this takes huge courage to speak up, to speak truth, not subjective truth, but objective truth. It takes courage to challenge the status quo, no matter how sick the status quo is, no matter how many people may know that there is untruth going on. When the governing bodies are running untruths, which they have for thousands of years, it can be very challenging to question the structures. Question them we must, because if we don't challenge them, then with anything where we live against our truth, we become really ill. So step 1 today, white magnetic wind, planet Uranus, code 2. So set your intention today as to what you're wanting to bring awareness about on your quest for unity, transparency, and transforming our ego. That's what it's all about. It's all about coming into maturity of maturation of the ego. That's again what the whole 260-day process is about. It's learning how to shift our energy on the inside through healing the heart. You can't do it with your head because it doesn't work like that. Okay, so this is about emotional transformation. This is the emotional evolution now. And so again, there's lots of little tips on here. Make a note about your question and your intention and see where it takes us, because the whole process is, just to move you back there again. So where are we going on this process? We're going from up here today, and we will finish this here on white cosmic wizard. Okay, so it's going from what we are initiating around truth, what's coming to light about our spirits, so we can see what needs to shift around our empowerment issues of the moon goddess, the white wizard, the 14th Mayan sign. That's where we're going to end up, and we're going to end up there on the 18th of November. So each day you can join me if you wish, and I will be doing a much shorter video on the energy of the day. So tomorrow being lunar, blue lunar night, the day after being the electric day, yellow electric seed, and taking us to what I mentioned previously, which is day number 4. Now, on day number 4, which is the 9th of November, that's a very key day. So first of all, it's key because it's red self-existing serpent, and that's a burner day. And what does that mean? Well, historically, that would have been a day where the powers that be would have done a big sacrificial day, for example. The powers that be have always known about these days and used them to harness the emotion of the masses. So again, for thousands of years, the masses have not been awake and not been aware. There's just been a small handful of rulers who've known how to use this energy. So in particular, the priests and the people in the patriarchy who've known how to work this energy. So red self-existing serpents, the asteroids are key to that day. So astrologically on that day, we've got Venus is opposite Mars. So Venus now being in Libra and Mars being in Aries. So they're both in their own ruling planets and signs. And so this is going to be a real key day around relationships, how we do relationships as a unique human being. So always remember that each person has their own template, has their own operating code, has their own computer program in this holograph. So they're playing a role. We're all playing a role, remember. And most people are playing an unconscious role. They're not aware that they're seeing the other people through their own personal filter, through their own personal story. And that's 99.9% of people on planet Earth don't understand that complex process yet. So when somebody is seeing me, they're seeing a version of me through their own lens, through their own life experience, and each person will see me differently. If they've got an issue with Leo energy, me being a Leo, for example, or a woman who does the sort of work that I do or holds the energy that I hold, then I'm going to be a match for that person, and they're going to project a way of relating to me that isn't actually anything to do with me in terms of how they see me. But in terms of how I react, of course, then that's key. So it's learning how to play this game and how to use key tools around healing to set us free from these stories, okay? So that eventually we may experience them in a different way, as well as this is our challenge. These people always show up for a reason. We always show up for each other so that we've got an opportunity to evolve. And that's the whole dynamic around this framework. This is what this framework shows us. So on that day, on the 9th, you can work with conscious intent now around relationship, knowing that something's going to happen on that day that is going to challenge you. And again, there's no good or bad, there's no right or wrong. It's just working with conscious awareness and working with an outcome that you want to achieve. And for me, it's I want to achieve freedom. I want to achieve more loving, respectful relationship in my life. So I'm up for it, whatever comes up. Okay, so the more that you master your emotions and the more that you learn how to use these tools, and the freer you become, so your fear really starts to go, because you have gone through many situations where you're starting to become a master of yourself, you know, and that is what this whole process is about. As each one of us does that, we change and the world changes. So the next day, scroll down, day 5. Day 5 is always a mastery day, overtone. We've got white overtone world bridger. So again, this is mastery of ending old worlds. Mercury goes back into Scorpio then. So our higher self goes back into death and rebirth and intimacy, which is really key. Remember, all of these days, they're in waning moon energy. Okay, so this is really key as well. So letting go. When it's in waning, it's letting go. And the next day of note is day 12, sorry, the 12th of November. Day 7, so let's bring that up. I will be doing a mini blog each day on this, vlog I should say. So day 7, so that's resonance. So when we get to day 7, it's the top of the pyramid. If you think of the Mayan pyramid structures, they were created as an experience so that you could actually live the experience, not just know it intellectually, you could embody it. So if you were lucky enough to get to the top of the pyramid, then the pyramids that were 7 steps, then you would be closest to heaven. So whenever we're on day 7, again, if you look up any numerology, this is the magic, this is the mystic day. And we've got yellow resonant star, so being the star that we really are. So the more that you know about your star code, and the more you can consciously work with yourself and realize that, you know, we are amazing, limitless beings, actually. So on that day, we've got Jupiter conjunct Capricorn, and this is the final one, you'll be glad to hear. So we've had all of these conjunctions going on massively to really bring up truth. Now, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. We've got Jupiter in Capricorn at the moment. So we're seeing all this expansion of the patriarchy. And Pluto is the shadow self. And so again, Jupiter expands things. So it's mastery of the shadow in a very basic way. I do groups around the Persephone path, and so that historic story, that mystery, is about the young Persephone who was abducted by Hades, also known as Pluto, so it's just another name for him, and taken into the underworld. So symbolically, psychologically, astrologically, this is something that happened to us when we were 19, around that age, and happens every 19 years. And so this relates to the North Node in our chart. At the moment, we've got North Node in Gemini, which happened the last time around 9/11. So if you're aware and you're awake, you know what that means. We're now coming to a different level of awareness around right relationship. We've got Gemini person in America, Mr. Trump. We've got Gemini person in the UK, Mr. Johnson. So we're seeing, are they in right relationship right now? What's going on? How does it make you feel? How did it make you feel in 9/11? What changed for you back then? So generally, this is a time in our life where, as a young adolescent, so this is really key, of course, for women, but it's true for everyone. It's around our sacred feminine. So it's where we've experienced trauma, where suddenly our worldview has been changed, usually by narcissistic behavior, where we've experienced abuse, where we've been shocked about how somebody has behaved who's been close to us, could be at work, could be at home, could be in a romantic relationship. But this is a huge energetic signature. So you'll be glad to know that this is the last one on that day. And so the energy is going to shift. There will be another one on December the 21st, which is a huge day because that's the day that we're going to 0 degrees of Aquarius. So the age of Aquarius coming in on the winter solstice. So very exciting. So that's going to be a whole different energy, expansion of what is right for everybody and being solution focused. But day 7, so, you know, that's a key one for the diary to note, because that's going to be an intense day, I would think, in some way. Then the next day, we've got day 9 on the 14th, which is a very key day indeed, because day 9 is White Solar Dog Day, and I am taking part in an amazing online wellness conference. I have done a video for that on that day, and I'll be doing a separate video to tell you more about that, how you can take part. So there's lots of people on there that you can check out. And so White Solar Dog Day is about the gateway of our ancestral patterning. Okay, also on that day, we've got a super moon in Scorpio at 23 degrees, and Mars goes direct. So I think that's going to be a pretty powerful day, don't you? For sure. Okay, so let's have a look. We have got, this is at 23 degrees of Scorpio. Let's look that up. So where this is in your chart is really key. So people that I work with, now some people argue it's 23, some people say it's 24 because it's quite a late degree of 23. So if you want to check it out, aquaorfire.net, A collection of dolls is 23. The inside of things take charge when the ego self is out of the picture and we're free to go with our fancy. The outer side of things becomes purely symbolic, just one way to do it. When the formative soul has its way, the world is recreated in a different image. Eliminating the usual mental considerations, the formative soul sticks to how things feel inside and pushes for a world that matches the inner pictures, becoming bound up with subtle and hidden layers of existence and tuned out of what is obvious and straightforward. Deeply driven to move out beyond the known into other realities. A resourcefulness that knows no bounds. Able to turn anything back into what it was meant to be. In the process, you crack through every kind of consensus agreement, becoming an outlaw, fused with core existence and drawing the energy out of empty forms into what is here. When you can feel the magic and know it is real, it is the touchstone to make it all real again. Wow, love that. Okay, so that is going to be a momentous day, and it's really early in the morning, I think, in the UK. Let me just check for you. I'll come back to that in a moment. So that's a day for the diary. Then on day 11, 12 and 13, we've got Venus square Jupiter, Pluto and Capricorn on those days as well. So this means, again, you know, Venus in Libra, the diplomat, sometimes prone to people pleasing. And so being very aware that we're not going to do that. That energy is square Jupiter, Pluto and Capricorn. So again, there may be in the last few days issues coming up around disempowerment. We've also on day 12 got Mercury opposite Uranus. And so again, our higher self, looking at what's coming to light. You know, what are we looking to embody now? What are we looking to live, to be, to do? You know, we're here to do things. That's what we come here for, to evolve our own personal story. So let's have a look. So what am I saying there on the supermoon? Well, it's actually in the UK, it's at 0507. Okay, so that's on Sunday. And so early hours of the morning. So, you know, could be a big day on Saturday through the evening and Sunday. But again, this is on the gateway day. So the more that we heal our ancestral patterning, the more that we really start to become aware of it, of, wow, how can I shake this off? You know, it's like haunting me. It's like, I'm so tired of doing this pattern. How can I let go of it? You know, because I'm an expert on it now. I know everything there is to know about this story. I've been round the lap so many times doing it that I'm just bored with it, you know, or I'm tired of it, or what can I do to shift it? So this is where emotional freedom technique comes in. There is nothing else that I know of that works in the way that emotional freedom technique works, because it works with the emotional part of the brain, it works with the amygdala, it works with the pattern maker, the fear maker, the fear holder, the story holder. So this is not a lip service thing. This is not an intellect thing. This is about really going into where we hold that story in our brain, in our energetic system, in our computer program, whatever you want to call it as a human being. And not only do we hold it, it creates the holograph Okay, so it's beaming out all the time. And again, once we really understand this concept, and it does take a bit of understanding, although, you know, in some ways it's very simple, but to actually shift our mindset to really grasp it is, you know, because this is new learning. This is the projector, okay? This is the part of us that keeps projecting this story out, this holograph out on planet Earth, until we get it intellectually, until we heal it in our heart, and until we change our behavior. This is why nobody's going to beam us up. Nobody's going to come and rescue us. Nobody's going to do it for us. We're in a 13-year cycle of the moon goddess of self-empowerment, which is aligning with the divine framework, getting our ego out of the way, trusting the process, and doing whatever it takes to mature our ego, mature our actions, walk the talk, be the change. That's the key, isn't it? Okay, so if you think about it logically, although lots of other processes will help us to be mindful, chill out, have good nutrition, if we're not going back over the old ground of actually becoming very aware of what created our trauma, then how are we going to become consciously aware of that? I'm not saying that everybody has to become consciously aware of that. We're not all here to do that. However, if as a human being we want to be wise and we want to live in a different way and create new structures on planet Earth, a new Earth, then of course we've got to understand this. Of course we've got to go through a process and understand how it all works, and then share that process with other people who are ready to do that, because this is what is going to create this amazing new future place by starting today. So just flick through there for you, and so there's lots of resources on there. There's resources on my blog, so you can check in with any of these links. Go on there. If you want to start working with a calendar, there's one you can download there, and you can print it off and laminate it and start to move the blue tack every day and learn direct from the source of the Wavespell, from you, from your part of the universe that is ready to work magically. So I had a lot of fun making that today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it's in plain language as much as it possibly can be. Please do feedback your comments and let me know anything that's helpful for you. At the moment, there aren't huge amounts of people who are doing this structure or watching these videos or have any sort of a clue of what I'm talking about. And that's okay. In time, people will start to understand this process in a different way. There's loads of people out there on the planet who understand intellectually what the Wavespell speaks of, and now this really is about living the process. Lots of people aren't aware of how to do their shadow stuff and aren't comfortable with doing it, and of course I get it. I wasn't either when I first began. You know, talk to somebody about my stuff, my personal stuff, my fears, and this is the key to being able to have deep, loving relationships with people. This is so core to being able to allow ourselves to be open in a safe way with people who we can trust, because this is essential to share our soul with each other and feel that deep, loving connection. This is what Scorpio is all about. If you want to have an amazing relationship with other people, how can you if you don't have one with yourself? This is where it all begins. Remember, what we're encountering on the outside is a reflection of our childhood, is a reflection of our ancestral story, and that is the key to how I believe this game of life and soul human evolution works. So if you'd like to know more about your personal code, how these frameworks work, I offer a free consultation. Please get in touch with me. My website is flowwithjo.com. Hope you have an amazing 13 days. Please tune in for each daily snapshot and do feedback. I'd love to hear from you. Lots of love. Bye for now.